Hello there, friend. Let's talk about something you've probably never heard at your doctor's office. Not because it's unimportant, but because most people simply don't know how to talk about it. And yet, what I'm about to share could change how you think about your body, your mind, and your sense of self as you age. My name is Dr. Michael Bennett. I'm a urologist and men's health specialist. For over 30 years, I've worked with older adults across the country, men and women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, helping them navigate not just the physical aspects of aging, but the emotional and deeply human side of it too. And I've come to believe something that may surprise you. Masturbation, yes, self-pleasure, isn't just normal in later life. It's healthy, it's natural, and it's necessary. Now, I know that might sound strange. For some, it might feel uncomfortable, maybe even shameful. But that discomfort isn't your fault. It's a message many of us were taught growing up, that sex, especially self-intimacy, is only for the young. That once you hit a certain age, you're supposed to stop thinking about it, stop wanting it, stop doing it. But here's the truth. Your body doesn't stop needing connection, even if the world tells you it should. And when that need goes unmet, not by choice, but by silence, shame, or neglect, the consequences reach far beyond the bedroom. I've seen it too many times to count. A proud, intelligent, capable man in his 70s or 80s comes in for a checkup. He's lost interest in life. He's sleeping poorly. He's anxious or foggy or forgetful. Sometimes, he's even stopped looking in the mirror. Not because he's depressed in the clinical sense, but because he's slowly drifted away from his body, and with it, his sense of ownership over his own life. And for women, it's no different. I've spoken with widows and retirees who say things like, "I just stopped feeling like a woman," or "that part of me shut down after menopause." But again, I ask, who told you it had to? See, what we don't talk about enough is this. Self-intimacy isn't about fantasy or lust. It's about health. It's about hormones. It's about keeping the systems in your body functioning properly. Your brain, your heart, your immune system, your sleep cycle, even your mood. Think about it like this. You don't stop brushing your teeth just because you're not going on a date. You don't stop walking just because you're not running marathons. So why do we treat sexual health, especially solo intimacy, like it expires with youth? I'm not here to push you into anything, but I am here to invite you to reconsider something society may have unfairly taken from you, the right to stay connected with your own body. Because when you stop, when you abandon that part of yourself, it doesn't just go quiet, it withers. And when it does, it takes pieces of your well-being with it. Confidence, energy, independence, the subtle joy of being fully alive. In fact, what I'll be sharing in the rest of this video series is how this one act, this quiet, personal, often overlooked act of self-intimacy can support nearly every system in your body, and how stopping it can slowly wear you down from the inside out. If you've made it this far and something in this message is stirring inside you, maybe curiosity, maybe resistance, maybe a quiet sense of recognition, I encourage you to stay with me. This isn't about shame. It's about science. It's about reclaiming a part of your health and identity that still matters. So let me be blunt, because I care. If you've stopped masturbating in your later years, it may be hurting you more than you know. And if you've never even considered it as a tool for wellness, you might be missing out on one of your body's most natural healing powers. You are not broken. You are not too old. You are not past that stage. You are still here. Your body still listens, and it still responds if you're willing to listen to it in return. Let's talk about how. Let's begin the journey back. Let me tell you a story. Mayo. A few years ago, a gentleman in his early 70s Saturday across from me in my clinic. Fit. Sharp. Took care of himself. But he looked frustrated. Isson. "Doc," he said, "I'm up 4 or 5 times a night to pee. I can't sleep. I plan my day around the nearest bathroom. I thought this was just getting old, but I didn't expect it to feel like this." I get stories like this all the time, and what I tell them is this. What's happening isn't just about aging. It's about what you've stopped doing. You see, the prostate is not some passive little gland tucked away and forgotten. It's an active, dynamic part of your body, one that needs regular stimulation to stay healthy. Now here's where the silence becomes dangerous. As we grow older, many of us, men especially, begin to disengage from our sexual selves, sometimes because of grief, Sometimes shame, sometimes we just assume it's no longer appropriate, but that withdrawal isn't harmless. When you stop having regular sexual release, whether with a partner or by yourself, something begins to build up. Quite literally, prostate fluid stagnates, and that stagnation, it creates the perfect conditions for inflammation, swelling, and long-term dysfunction. You might feel it as a heavier bladder, a weaker stream, or the frustrating urge to go, again and again, all through the night. You might even brush it off as normal. But let me be clear, these are early warning signs. Left unchecked, that fluid buildup can lead to benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, a condition that affects nearly half of all men over 60. It can cause bladder infections, urinary retention, and in severe cases, even the need for a catheter or surgery. Yes, really, Trail. Remember the man I told you about at the start? He eventually needed a procedure to relieve the pressure, something that could have been prevented if we'd addressed the root cause earlier. And what was that root cause? A simple lack of regular ejaculation. Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, this isn't about turning back the clock or chasing lost youth. It's not about fantasy. It's not about performance. It's about function. It's about doing something basic and natural that helps your body stay clean, balanced, and well. In fact, multiple studies now support this. One of the most well-known studies published in the journal European Urology found that men who ejaculated 21 times or more per month were significantly less likely to develop prostate cancer than those who didn't. That's not superstition. That's science. And yes, 21 times may sound like a lot, but it's not a prescription. It's a window into what's possible when the body is allowed to maintain its rhythm. Yozole, let's think about it another way. Your heart needs regular movement to stay strong. Your lungs need deep breathing. Your muscles need use to avoid shrinking. Why would your prostate be any different? When you stimulate and release, you're flushing out old fluids, keeping tissues active, reducing pressure, and maintaining the gland's normal size and function. It's simple. It's safe. And most importantly, it's in your hands, quite literally. And for those wondering, isn't this too personal to talk about? I say this. Your health is personal. Your dignity is personal. And you deserve the truth, even when others are too shy to say it out loud. Because here's the thing. When you start losing control over your bladder, when you're waking up exhausted every night, when you're afraid to travel or socialize because you don't trust your own body, that's not just uncomfortable. That's limiting. That's isolating. I've seen strong, confident men reduced to planning every outing around a bathroom stop. I've had patients admit they no longer sleep next to their partner because they wake up so often at night. And every time, I wish I could go back in time and say, this doesn't have to happen. So, if you're listening right now and you're feeling called out, or maybe a little uncomfortable, good. That means this message is reaching you. That means something inside you knows it's time to stop ignoring this part of your health. Your prostate isn't asking for miracles. Recals, it's asking for care. Hameni Reskili, it's asking you not to give up on it. And trust me, when you care for it, it will care for you back. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll explore something even more surprising. How your sexual activity shapes your brain, and how stopping might quietly steal your clarity, confidence, and emotional vitality. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there? Or found yourself losing your train of thought mid-sentence, then laughing it off as just one of those aging things? Well, what if I told you there might be more to the story than simply getting older? Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bennett. If you've been following this series, you already know we've been talking about some of the most overlooked aspects of aging, and how self-intimacy, including masturbation, plays a critical role in your overall well-being. Today we're going to talk about something we all value deeply: your mind, your clarity, your ability to stay sharp and feel like yourself. Let me be bold here. What happens in your body doesn't stay in your body. And when you stop engaging in healthy sexual activity, even solo, your brain feels it too. Not long ago, I had a patient in his late 60s, a retired engineer, come into my office. He wasn't there for prostate trouble. He wasn't having any pain. He looked fine, but he sat down, looked me in the eye and said, "Doc, I just don't feel like me anymore. I used to be sharp. Now I forget names, lose focus, and honestly, I'm worried." And I told him what I'm going to tell you now. Sexual activity helps support brain function. and stopping it can quietly affect your memory, clarity, and motivation. Let's break it down. When you engage in intimacy, even just with yourself, your brain releases a powerful blend of neurochemicals. Dopamine, the feel-good motivator; serotonin, the mood stabilizer; oxytocin, the bonding hormone that fosters calm and trust. These aren't just about pleasure. They literally protect your brain, helping your neurons communicate, improving blood flow, and shielding you from the effects of stress. Now, imagine if that chemical support system started to shut down. Not because of disease, but simply because you stopped giving your brain the signal to activate it. Over time, those little foggy moments add up. First, it's misplaced keys. Then it's forgetting appointments. Then it's struggling to finish a sentence or stay interested in a conversation. You begin to wonder, is this the beginning of something serious? And in some cases, it might not be, but it might also be your brain quietly starving for stimulation. Here's something many people don't realize. Sexual activity, including masturbation, naturally lowers cortisol, the hormone your body releases when it's under stress. And long-term high cortisol levels don't just make you feel foggy. They can shrink the very parts of your brain that help you think clearly. And here's another layer. For men especially, a drop in sexual activity often leads to lower testosterone. This hormone isn't just about libido. It plays a vital role in cognitive function, motivation, confidence, and emotional stability. When it drops too far, many men describe feeling like a ghost of themselves, present, but not fully alive. Now I want to pause here and ask you something important. Have you been feeling more distracted lately? Less motivated? Have you been chalking it up to just getting older? If so, what if part of the answer lies not in your age, but in disconnection from your body, from your needs, from something as simple and powerful as physical release? Now, to be clear, this isn't about alarm. I'm not saying that lack of self-intimacy causes disease, but it does remove one of your brain's quiet support systems. And without it, the decline comes faster and more quietly. I've seen patients reclaim their clarity, not with expensive supplements or gimmicky brain games, but simply by reconnecting with themselves. One man told me, "It's like I got a little piece of me back. I feel awake again." And that's what this is about. Not sex for the sake of sex, but stimulation for the sake of presence. Because when your brain feels good, you feel good. When your mind is clear, your day is better. And when you reconnect with your body, even in quiet, private ways, you reconnect with your mind too. So if you've been struggling with memory, focus, or mental energy, don't just reach for a pill. Ask yourself a deeper question. When was the last time I gave my brain the chemistry it naturally craves? In the next video, we're going to explore what happens emotionally, how self-intimacy can help protect you from something even more subtle and painful: depression and emotional numbness. If this message resonated with you, don't be shy. Hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a 1 in the comments if you've ever felt this fog. You're not alone. You're not broken. And your brain is still listening, waiting for a reason to light up again. Let me ask you a simple but powerful question. When was the last time you truly felt something? Not just going through the motions, but actually felt joy, sadness, excitement, or even calm? If your answer is, "I'm not sure," or "It's been a while," you're not alone. But what you might not realize is that this numbness, this emotional flatness, may not be just a part of aging. It could be a sign of something deeper, something quietly missing. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bennett. I've spent over 30 years walking alongside men and women as they age, through joy, loss, change, and renewal. And one of the most silent, unspoken struggles I see again and again is this: the slow disappearance of emotion, and the surprising connection it has to physical intimacy, especially self-intimacy. Let's be honest, depression doesn't always show up as tears or sadness. Especially in older adults, it often arrives as fatigue, disconnection, a quiet sense of why bother, and one of the most overlooked contributors, the loss of touch, the loss of pleasure, the loss of release. You see, masturbation isn't just about sex. It's not about lust. It's not even about youth. It's about feeling. It's your body's built-in emotional relief valve, a natural, powerful way to process stress, tension, and even grief. When you experience climax, your brain releases chemicals like oxytocin and endorphins, These are your body's natural mood lifters. They lower anxiety, soften sadness, and help you reconnect with yourself in the most human way. But when that outlet is gone, day after day, week after week, something changes. I've seen it happen so gradually. Someone loses a partner, or they begin to believe that intimacy is no longer age-appropriate. They stop touching themselves. Then slowly, they also stop laughing. Stop calling friends. Stop caring how they look. Life becomes flat. And the hardest part? They don't even know it's happening. They chalk it up to age. They say, I guess this is just how things go now. But it's not. It's not just aging. It's disconnection. I once had a patient, 73 years old, widowed for nearly a decade. He came in and said, Doc, I don't feel sad. I don't feel happy either. I just don't feel anything. He wasn't asking for pills. He wasn't even sure what he needed. But after talking, we uncovered the truth. He hadn't touched himself in years. Not because he didn't want to, but because he thought he wasn't supposed to anymore. I gently encouraged him to explore that connection again, not for fantasy, but for healing. 3 months later, he returned, smiling, brighter. He said, I don't know what shifted, but I feel like I woke up from a fog. Now, is self-intimacy the cure for all depression? Of course not. But for many, it's a piece of the puzzle no one talks about. Because touch isn't optional, it's fundamental. It reminds us that we are alive, not just surviving. In fact, studies show that emotional numbness, especially in older adults, is often misdiagnosed or ignored. But here's the reality. When you stop engaging with your own body, you send a message to your brain that you don't matter, that your feelings are no longer valid. That joy is no longer expected. Over time, that message becomes a belief, and that belief becomes a lifestyle. But it doesn't have to. You can rewrite that story. You can start small, one moment of curiosity, one act of kindness toward your own body. You can remind yourself that you still deserve pleasure, connection, and relief. Because here's the truth, you're not too old. You're not broken. You haven't expired. You are still here. In your body, your emotions, they're still waiting for you to come home. In the next part of this series, we'll explore something closely tied to mood and emotion, sleep, and how losing sexual release may be quietly stealing the rest your body so desperately needs. If this message resonates with you, drop a 1 in the comments below. Let someone else know they're not alone. And if no one has told you this lately, you still matter, even to yourself. Let me paint a familiar picture. You go to bed at 10 or 11. You fall asleep just fine. But somewhere around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, bam, you're wide awake. No noise, no nightmare, just alert. You stare at the ceiling, maybe get up, shuffle to the bathroom, then you lie back down, hoping your body will cooperate. But it doesn't. And you start another day feeling half-charged, foggy, maybe even a little defeated. Sound familiar? Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bennett. I've worked with aging adults for over 3 decades, and I'll tell you this right now. You are not alone. Poor sleep is one of the most common complaints I hear. But what's far less common, yet far more important, is what's causing it. See, most people look at sleep as a mechanical issue. Maybe it's my mattress. Maybe it's too much caffeine. And yes, those things matter, but there's another factor, one that's almost never talked about. And that's sexual inactivity, especially the loss of regular ejaculation. Mon garçons. Now before you tune out, stay with me. Mon garçons. This isn't about performance. Mon garçons. This isn't about romance or fantasy. This is about biology. When you experience sexual release, whether through partnered intimacy or masturbation, your body naturally produces a powerful mix of hormones that support deep, restorative sleep. 2 of the key players? Oxytocin and prolactin. Oxytocin is often called the bonding hormone. It reduces stress and promotes relaxation. Prolactin helps you feel satisfied, peaceful, and ready for rest. These hormones quiet your nervous system, lower your heart rate, ease muscle tension, and help you slip into deep sleep, the kind your body truly heals in. And here's the critical part. When sexual release disappears from your life, your body slowly loses access to this natural sleep aid. You may still fall asleep out of exhaustion, but staying asleep becomes a challenge. You don't cycle through the stages of sleep the way you used to. You wake up more often. You feel less rested. You become more tired during the day, more irritable, less focused, and your health begins to suffer. It's not your imagination. Sleep deprivation doesn't just make you feel tired. Amen says. It weakens your immune system. It raises inflammation. It increases your risk of heart disease, cognitive decline, falls, and depression. In older adults, sleep loss has been directly linked to memory issues, mood swings, even higher mortality rates. Let me tell you about a patient of mine. Late 60s, retired school principal. He came in looking pale, drained. Said, "Doc, I don't know what's going on. I fall asleep easily, but every night I pop awake around 2 a.m., and I just lie there for hours. We ran tests. No sleep apnea, no big red flags. But when I asked gently about his intimate life, he lowered his eyes and said, 'That part of me is over.' I said, 'Maybe not.' We talked openly about the connection between sexual release and sleep quality, and he decided to try reconnecting with his body, not out of shame, but out of care. 3 weeks later, he came back in smiling. 'I slept through the night for the first time in months,' he said. 'It's like I remembered something my body had forgotten.' And that's the truth. He remembered consent. It remembers what rest feels like, what connection feels like, what being fully alive feels like. And sometimes, all it takes is reigniting one simple rhythm. So if you're waking up in the middle of the night, if you feel like your sleep has lost its depth, I invite you to ask a question no one else may ask. When was the last time I let my body fully release? It's not about age. It's not about shame. It's about giving your body permission to do what it was designed to do: reset, relax, and restore. In the next episode, we're going to talk about another hidden effect of sexual inactivity, how it weakens your pelvic floor and circulation, and what that means for your strength, balance, and dignity. Until then, remember, you deserve rest. You deserve healing sleep, and you are never too old to reclaim it. If this video resonated with you, type 1 in the comments and share your experience. You might just help someone else sleep a little better tonight. Let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention until it's too late. Have you ever laughed a little too hard and suddenly had a leak? Ever rushed to the bathroom because your bladder just couldn't wait? Or worse, skipped social events because you were afraid you wouldn't be near a restroom? You're not alone. In fact, millions of older adults, men and women, quietly struggle with these issues every single day. But what if I told you the root of it all might lie in a group of muscles you've probably never thought about? I'm talking about your pelvic floor muscles. These are the muscles that sit at the very base of your pelvis, supporting your bladder, bowel, and yes, your sexual organs. They help control urination. They're involved in healthy digestion, and they even play a major role in your core stability and posture. Here's the kicker. They also respond directly to sexual activity, particularly self-stimulation. Now stay with me. This isn't about anything dirty or inappropriate. It's about biological movement. When you masturbate, your pelvic floor muscles contract and relax in rhythmic patterns. It's like a mini workout for the entire pelvic region, keeping blood flowing, tissues healthy, and muscles strong. But what happens when that activity stops? The answer isn't pretty. Without regular stimulation, the pelvic floor begins to weaken, slowly at first, then more noticeably. What does that look like? You may start to notice dribbling after urination, or needing to pee more frequently during the night. Or even accidents, just little ones, when you cough or bend down too quickly. These symptoms often get brushed off as just aging. But in truth, they're signs of a weakening system that, left unchecked, can spiral into larger issues. We're talking about things like stress incontinence, pelvic pain or pressure, erectile dysfunction, and yes, even the dreaded dependency on pads, liners, or adult diapers. And beyond the physical effects, there's something even more damaging: loss of confidence. I've had patients tell me, "Doc, I don't go out much anymore." Why? Because they're scared. Scared of not making it to the bathroom. Scared of embarrassment. Scared of being seen as less than. And that kind of fear shrinks your world. It makes you say no to dinners, walks in the park, long drives, even time with family. You stop living just to stay near a bathroom. But it doesn't have to be that way. One of the most powerful, natural ways to keep your pelvic floor engaged, especially as we age, is through gentle, regular stimulation. even solo. Because during masturbation, blood flows to the pelvic region, muscles activate. It's like watering a garden. It brings life, warmth, and renewal to an area that would otherwise grow dry and stiff with time. Think of it this way. Would you ever stop stretching your legs, knowing it would lead to falls? Would you stop brushing your teeth, knowing decay was around the corner? Of course not. So why do we neglect this essential internal system? Just because we're older. Aging doesn't mean ignoring. It means adapting with intention. You can also pair this with pelvic floor exercises, known as Kegels, which are simple contractions you can do discreetly throughout the day. But when combined with regular sexual release, the benefits multiply. Stronger control, better circulation, less pelvic tension, more confidence. And remember, confidence is contagious. When you feel good in your body, it shows. You stand taller, you move more. You show up for life, for yourself, and for the people you love. So if you've been dealing with leaks, discomfort, or a shrinking social life, I want you to ask yourself, am I taking care of my pelvic health? Not just with medications or products, but with movement, activation, and care. In the next episode, we'll talk about something closely related, how sexual inactivity affects your immune system and healing process. Yes, really. Until then, be bold, be curious, and most of all, be kind to the body that's carried you this far. If this message struck a chord, drop a 1 in the comments or share your experience. You're not alone, and someone else might need to hear what you've been through. If today's message touched your heart, hit subscribe and join us on this journey toward a more meaningful life, day by day. Let me ask you something personal, but important. Have you noticed that it takes longer to recover from colds lately? Or that even a small bug seems to linger for weeks, dragging your energy down? Maybe you catch yourself saying, I used to bounce back faster than this. You're not imagining things. As we age, our immune system naturally weakens. But here's the part no one talks about. Your immune health is deeply connected to your physical intimacy, even when it's just with yourself. Yes, we're talking about masturbation. And no, this isn't about embarrassment. It's about empowerment. Let's look at the science. Each time you climax, especially through ejaculation, your body releases a powerful surge of immunoglobulin A, or IgA for short. Think of IgA as your body's first line of defense, a superhero antibody. It guards your respiratory tract, digestive system, and mucous membranes. It's the front gatekeeper, pushing back viruses, bacteria, and pathogens before they even have a chance to take hold. In fact, one fascinating study from Wilkes University found that people who engaged in sexual activity just once or twice a week had 30% higher levels of IgA than those who didn't. Now let's connect the dots. When older adults stop engaging in solo sexual activity, their IgA levels drop. That means fewer defenses. That means longer recoveries from the flu, more lingering coughs, more chronic low-grade inflammation, and more time feeling tired, achy, and just not right. It's not about whether you get seriously sick. It's about how often you feel a little off, and how long it takes to feel normal again. And let's face it, at our age, we don't bounce back the way we used to. Every edge we can give our immune system matters. So why don't we hear this talked about more? Because in many cultures, especially for older generations, masturbation is seen as taboo, as something you grow out of, as something you stop doing once you reach a certain age. But nature disagrees. Your body doesn't care how old you are. It still rewards healthy sexual expression with real biological benefits, immune defense being one of the most important. And beyond immunity, this small act offers something even bigger, a sense of agency. When you feel tired and weak, when your joints ache and you're buried in pills and appointments, it's easy to feel like you've lost control over your own body. But this one act, simple, natural, private, gives some of that power back. You're not waiting on a prescription. You're not dependent on someone else's schedule. You're choosing to engage with your body, to wake it up, to keep it alive. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about honoring the biology that still works. About embracing the small routines that strengthen your health, without side effects, without shame. Some people meditate. Some people walk in nature. Some people masturbate. And for many, it's all of the above. So if you've been wondering why your immune system seems sluggish, why your energy isn't quite what it used to be, why little things seem to hit harder and last longer, consider this. Could it be that you've unknowingly closed the door on one of your body's most natural sources of vitality? You're never too old to reclaim a part of yourself, to reconnect with your body not out of vanity, but out of respect, to say, I deserve to feel strong, to heal faster, to live better. You've taken care of others all your life. Maybe now it's time to take care of you in every way. And remember, intimacy doesn't begin or end with someone else. It begins with presence, with listening to your body, with saying yes to the small things that keep you whole. If you found this perspective helpful or even surprising, let me know in the comments, or simply send this to someone who could use a reminder. Your health is worth protecting from the inside out. Let's pause for a moment and ask something we don't often say out loud. When was the last time you truly felt at home in your own body? Not just existing in it, but actually feeling present, alive, and you? Because for many people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, that connection fades over time. Sometimes gradually, sometimes all at once. And one of the most silent causes behind this disconnection is something few dare to talk about: the quiet decision to stop engaging in self-intimacy. Yes, masturbation. Now, before you scroll away or feel awkward, let's look at this from a different angle. This isn't about sexuality in the traditional sense. It's about something deeper: identity, aliveness, and the feeling that you still belong in your own skin. See, when people stop connecting physically with themselves, especially in ways that involve pleasure and exploration, something subtle but powerful happens. They begin to feel like a stranger inside their own body. The body becomes this aging vehicle you just get through the day with, rather than a living part of your identity. You stop looking in the mirror with curiosity. You stop touching your skin with appreciation. You may even stop putting effort into how you dress, how you move, how you take care of yourself. And slowly, a dangerous thought creeps in. I guess I'm past that stage. That part of my life is over. But what if I told you it's not about the act? It's about the relationship, the connection, the daily, even weekly reminder that this is your body and you still belong here. We often talk about the importance of mental health, of staying social, of keeping active, but very few people mention that your connection with your own body is the foundation of all of that. Because when you stop feeling alive in your body, it doesn't take long before other things follow. Fanta V, you lose motivation to exercise. You stop prioritizing sleep. Your diet slips. You withdraw a bit more from people. You lose the sparkle, not because of age, but because the connection that used to light you up has dimmed. And here's something powerful. That connection is completely reclaimable. You don't need to be 30. You don't need a partner. You don't even need to feel sexy in the traditional sense. You simply need to be willing to say, this is still my body. I still want to feel alive in it. Whether it's through gentle touch, mindful breathing, dancing in the living room, moisturizing with care, or yes, even through masturbation. It's about coming back to your physical self without judgment. One woman in her early 70s once said, "After I stopped being intimate, I felt like I was renting this body instead of owning it. Starting again, even slowly, helped me feel like myself again." Another man shared, "I don't need to perform for anyone anymore. I just want to feel human, to feel warmth, to feel me. That's the heart of it. This isn't about performance, it's about presence." So if you've been feeling like you're fading, if you've looked in the mirror lately and felt like someone else is staring back, if you've said things like, "I'm not myself anymore," maybe it's time to ask, have I disconnected from the very thing that made me feel alive? My body. You're not broken. You haven't passed your prime. You're not done. There's still life here. Still you here. And maybe, just maybe, this quiet act of self-reconnection is one of the most courageous and healing steps you can take. Because aging isn't about disappearing. It's about showing up again and again in the body you've carried through it all and saying, I'm still here and I still matter. If this touched something in you, share it. And if it sparked a memory, a thought, or a new beginning, tell me in the comments. You're not alone on this path. We're walking it together, body, mind, and soul. So here we are. After everything we've talked about, from poor sleep to weak muscles, from emotional withdrawal to fading confidence, let's bring it all together. Because on their own, each of those effects may seem small, maybe even manageable. But when you add them up, day after day, year after year, they quietly take something much bigger from us. Yer faqai. Our dignity, our vitality, our sense of being fully alive. Waman sal. For so many older adults, this loss doesn't come with a dramatic moment. There's no alarm bell, no clear sign. Instead, it's a slow fading, a quiet giving up on parts of life we once took for granted. But here's the truth. You don't have to be young. You don't need to be in perfect health. You only need one thing to begin again. Permission. Permission to care for yourself. Permission to reconnect with your own body. Permission to believe that you still deserve to feel good. And yes, sometimes it starts with something as personal and as misunderstood as masturbation. Let's name it plainly. Masturbation at an older age isn't shameful. It's not embarrassing. It's not unnecessary just because you're past 60 or 70 or 80. It's actually one of the most complete, intimate, and powerful ways to care for yourself, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Because what is self-pleasure, really? It's a way to reclaim your space in your own body. Mates, it's a moment of stillness where you listen to what you feel. Mates is a statement that says, I am still here. I still here. I still matter. I still want to feel something. Now, some people might push back and say, but I'm too old for that. Isn't that for the young? To that I say, no, absolutely not. In fact, it's often more meaningful now than ever before. At this stage of life, it's no longer about performance. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about presence. Now, connection, grace, even healing. Imagine what could change if you gave yourself permission, gently, without guilt, to explore again. Maybe you'd start sleeping better. Maybe you'd feel more relaxed, more grounded. Maybe you'd notice a quiet joy coming back into your day, a softness in the way you move, a little more spark when you speak. And maybe, just maybe, you'd feel like you're living again, not just surviving. Because here's the deeper truth no one tells us. Being alive isn't enough. We're meant to be fully present. We're meant to feel that our worth doesn't retire when we do. Yvonne, you are not too late, maybe a citral. You are not too old, lively. You are not too old. And you certainly are not past the point of deserving joy, closeness, or comfort in any form. So, I'll leave you with this. You weren't just meant to survive. You were meant to be here. To feel here. To be worthy of your own care until your very last breath. Not just alive, but awake. Not just present, but present with purpose. It's never too late to return home to yourself. If you found this message powerful, if it made you reflect, I invite you to share it with someone who may need it. And if you're ready to take one small step back to yourself, even quietly, even slowly, I'm here for you. You are not alone. You still matter. You always did. Let's keep walking this path together. It doesn't matter how old you are. What matters is that you're still here, and you still deserve to live fully, deeply, and beautifully. If you believe that too, subscribe. Let's walk together.